Hag has said that we need better players if we want to compete at the highest level. He said that he is not satisfied with Man United's season despite securing a return to the Champions League and potential domestic cup double. He has agreed with what Cristiano Ronaldo has said. The standards at Man United had fallen sharply since the retirement of Alex Ferguson. And he also said we had loan players in January. When you look around us at other teams in January in the Premier League, they went out and invested. And we didn't invest. You can't ignore that. So as a Man United fan, I'm really pleased to see him kind of praise good things this year, but also, as you would say, maintaining those standards of where Man United need to get to, but claiming what we all know. Man United just need better players. You need better than Weghorst. You need better than McTominay, better than Fred, better than Lindelof, better than Maguire, better than De Gea now to go to that next level. So I'm glad to see these links. I'm happy to see the manager push him. What's your take on Ten Hag pushing out those standards and basically saying it's great that we might win 2 trophies and get Champions League, but I want much more than this. This is not a ceiling. We go again and try and win the title.
It's all good in theory, isn't it? Like, and it's good to say it. Cool, fantastic. He's called it out, which is something that I said last week. He must have watched the stream. So he started calling it out. But ultimately, if he doesn't get what he wants, then he's got an issue, isn't he? Because what's he going to do? Is he going to say that the window was a disaster? We didn't get what we wanted, or is he going to sit there and just suck it up and take it on the chin and go again? Because I've seen a quote. I can't remember the exact wording of it when he was talking about Harry Maguire the other day, yesterday, I think, and he was saying Harry's a good player. You know, it's up to him whether he wants to leave or not. Blah blah blah. And it's like he says some really good things, but then on the other hand, he totally contradicts himself. Like. It's like, why Harry Maguire's not a good footballer, mate? Why are you telling him he's a good footballer? Why are you telling the world it's up to him if he wants to leave? It shouldn't be up to him. It's up to Man United if you want to leave. But again, the ownership talk seems to have evaporated. And it's almost like right now you're stuck with the Glazers. Yeah, and it wouldn't surprise me if the whole thing was just a PR move from the Glazers anyway, just to get everyone buzzing until the end of the season. It wouldn't surprise me one bit. But that's a whole different stream. Yeah, because I could go on for hours about that.
No, I get what you're saying on that. So for me, look, saying nice things about Maguire and Martial and McTominay and AWB. One, I'll remain consistent. That's him being professional. But 2, if your manager is out there publicly stating Maguire's shit, right? Let's say he sits there and says, he's giving a speech at Old Trafford, says, I love all my team, but not you, Maguire, you're shit. That's going to damage how much money we get for him in the transfer window. 110%, because you can't.
I disagree. Roy Keane does it every week. Roy Keane was the ex-captain of Man United in the greatest era you've had in my lifetime. And he sits on Sky every week cussing Harry Maguire, Scott McTominay, done it with Jesse Lingard, done it with David De Gea.
But Roy Keane isn't the guy that's sitting in the negotiation room trying to sell Maguire.
Neither is Ten Hag.
If you sit on the internet today and I see you and you say, my car I'm selling is a banger. It breaks down every 5 minutes. It barely works and starts. And then you try and sell it to me and say, actually, it's a brilliant runner. It works perfectly, but I've seen you say it's crap. I'm going to offer you a lot less money than you're asking for.
That's a totally stupid thing to say because it's not your car. It's my car, and you're just driving it.
No, you're trying to sell
your car. The wheels on this car are rubbish, but then you want to try and sell the wheels. I get what you're trying to say.
Yeah, no. What I'm saying is,
you don't know Man United.
We own his player card, which means we own the rights to who he can play for. We don't own him as a person. Man United shouldn't be.
Ten Hag doesn't. That's what I'm saying.
But Ten Hag is the manager. Why would he do something?
Ten Hag's a paid employee, the same as Harry Maguire.
Hang on. Why? Yes, but his job is to manage the team. Why would he do something that would lower the valuation of a football player? Why would that be smart?
Why would you think that by saying that it's going to lower the valuation?
Because
everyone's got eyes, Terry. Everyone's got eyes that can see he's an average footballer. Just because he's actually said it. I remember Jose Mourinho sitting in press conferences calling out players. Yeah, not just at Man United, but at Chelsea, at Real Madrid, at Inter Milan.
There's a way of doing this, though. There's a way of doing it, and I think that's fair. On the other point, what you've said there about if he doesn't get what he wants, if, for instance, this summer he gets Kim Min-jae, he gets Costa, he gets Mount, he gets Caicedo, I'm just naming names, but doesn't get one of his main players, say Harry Kane, what do you think the manager should do if he doesn't get all these targets?
Well, you need a striker. I think that's pretty obvious. If you don't get a top draw striker this summer, then he should walk. Yeah, because he's not being given the tools good enough to compete for the title, which is what Man United should be doing. Yeah, like regardless of whether you win the cup next week or whether you don't, you've won a trophy. You can see that he's put you in the top 4. Cool. That shouldn't be the aim for United, but he's got you in the Champions League. Yeah, you need a striker. You know, Rashford scored loads of goals this season. That's great. Yeah, but you're way too over reliant on him. And then when he has a 3-month drought of goals where he only scores 2 or 3 goals in that time, who else is stepping up? No one. Yeah, so you need a top draw striker. Harry Kane is available. Go and get him. If you don't go and get him, then the manager should say, see you later. We see Antonio Conte do it. He just won a league title in Inter. Yeah, and they said to him, no, we're going to have to sell some players. Sell before we can buy. He went, see you later then. Yeah, so if managers do this stuff, Terry, yeah, if Ten Hag doesn't get an elite level striker, regardless of anything else, the first thing you lot should be doing is looking at an elite level striker and a goalkeeper. They're the 2 first signings you should be bringing through the door. After that, you should be looking at midfielder, defender, yeah, and winger. Yeah, you need 5 or 6 players at least. Yeah, but you need definitely a striker first and a goalkeeper. They're the first 2 signings. If you don't get a top draw goalkeeper and a top draw striker this summer, he should walk. Yeah, they should call it out and say, I'm going. They didn't give me what I wanted. Yeah, because we've seen it. I said this to you last week. You've seen this with Ragnick. Ragnick said you needed open heart surgery. How many players of quality have you signed since then? You've signed Martinez, yeah, Lissandro, he's decent. You've signed Varane, he's decent, although he's not always fit to play, but when he is, he's good. You've signed Casemiro, unbelievable. Yeah, and who else you signed? Sabitzer, Ericsson, Ronaldo, Weghorst, Anthony. I mean, they're hardly jumping out the screen at you, are they?
So I understand that. I suppose for me, I understand why you would say he should walk, and other managers have done it. How far do you take that logic? So example being, should Pep have walked away 2 summers ago when he didn't get Harry Kane?
No, because Pep's a different scenario. He's probably in an elite scenario on his own. Yeah, because Pep can turn water into wine. He won the league with no striker for 2 years straight.
So
you ain't going to win the league without a striker.
I understand that. I'm looking at the logic here. So if Arteta misses out on Rice, well, not Arteta, if Edu misses out on Rice and doesn't get Arteta, his main guy, you think your manager should walk away? It
depends what Arteta wants. Yeah, because if Arteta wants Caicedo, Rice, I don't know, say Maddison or Mount, for example, just throwing them 3 names in there, yeah? Right, them 3 or 4 names. If he wants 3 of them 4 players and he ends up with 1, yeah, then he should go. He should say, see you later and give me what I want. But you don't see it often in football because they're only there for their own personal glory anyway. And they'll never call the club out because they've seen that when you call the club out, you get sacked. Yeah. But Antonio Conte will get another job. That ain't no drama. He'll get another job. Jose's called clubs out left, right, and centre, called individual players out left, right, and centre. Well, he's still getting jobs. He's still doing all right. He's still winning trophies and in finals. Yeah, the thing is with Ten Hag says a lot of good things. Yeah, but ultimately, yeah, he is not involved in that transfer process. Right? He can go to the club and say, yes, I want X, Y, Z. I want Harry Kane. Get me Harry Kane. But has he got any connection to Man United like Arteta's got to Arsenal? No, he hasn't. Arteta has actually sat there every single day in, day out, talking to the ownership, talking to the board. Is Ten Hag doing that every day? I don't think he is. Pep's different because Pep can win a league without a striker.
Let me just interject for a second. So the manager has spoke that he has direct contact with the board and the ownership on a regular basis in terms of meetings around signings and things like that. So that's there. I'm just trying to ascertain. I get your point, and he
also said Harry Maguire's a good player.
Yeah, at the same time,
take him serious.
Hang on a minute, though. But I've seen Pep Guardiola talk about players that he's sold and how much he rates them and how good they are. We see him sit there and cry on camera that Aguero could never be replaced and have gone and signed an even better striker. Managers will say things that they don't always necessarily mean. It's called tact and professionalism and whatever else. And I know that I'm going to be really blunt with you. I know you're not someone that holds back in terms of what it is you've got to say, but you would have done in your previous job because when you were doing what you were doing, there's certain things you just wouldn't have said or definitely not said publicly because there's a way to behave. And I think there's that element there. But what I'm more trying to ascertain from you is this. I understand what you're saying. If Ten Hag doesn't get what he wants, he should walk. Do you just apply that logic to him or do you apply that logic to
that should be to everyone? That should be to everyone. And just coming back to Pep, somebody just put it in the chat a minute ago. Yeah, Pep Guardiola called out KDB, Kyle Walker, Jack Grealish, Foden. They were all sat on the bench. Cancelo. He also came out the other day and said Nathan Ake has shown us this season. Yeah, like the defenders we've got this season have shown that they're very good one-on-one defenders, something we haven't had before. That was a direct dig at Cancelo and Zinchenko. Like one-on-one defensive players.
I understand that.
He does call players that. He said he'd walk if Man City players don't raise their game this season.
I understand what you're talking about, but I've also seen, again, you just don't follow Man United closely enough. I have seen Ten Hag talk about Martial as an example. He's called him out along the lines of availability and his injury problems, and we need players that are going to stay fit. So he's done exactly what Pep's done. Pep hasn't stood there and gone, Cancelo is a shit defender. What he's turned around and done is, this player this season has been a brilliant one-on-one defender. We haven't had as much of that. So Pep isn't calling them out directly.
His words were, we haven't had that before since I've been here. We haven't had a good one-on-one defender since I've been here.
Yes, but what I'm saying is, what he isn't doing is what you're asking for, which is going on into a thing and saying Cancelo is a shit defender. So our manager...
Well, I'm not asking your manager to come out and say the player's shit.
No,
what I'm saying is... Like when he comes
if you were to turn around and just go, if I Google search now Pep on Cancelo, you could probably go back and find quotes and find like before he was sold and find really good things that Guardiola has said about him as a defender. I bet it exists on the internet.
Yeah, of course they do. Of course they do.
But that's exactly what our manager does. So he's taken shots at people indirectly by talking about the way that Lissandro came in and revolutionized the back line and gave us more confidence. He spoke about how Bruno has improved the communication leadership on the pitch along with Casemiro. That is an indirect dig, in my opinion, at Harry Maguire. What he's not going to do is say Maguire is rubbish and crap. And the reason I'm asking is this because most managers
I'm not asking him to say that, Terry. What I'm saying is when he came into the football club, Harry Maguire is going to stay the captain. Harry Maguire is a very good player. Only yesterday he came out, and I'm paraphrasing here, and he said, Harry Maguire is a very good footballer, yeah, and it's his decision if he wants to stay at the football club. Why? Why are you even saying that? It's not Harry Maguire's decision. It's your decision.
I told you why. I told you why. Because, again, scarcity creates more money. Man United publicly state that they don't want him in that way. It lowers the valuation. Man United...
Yeah, that's cool. I get that. But at the same time, everyone on the planet that watches football and is not blind can see he's crap.
I understand that.
But
it's irrelevant.
In an indirect way, it doesn't mean you're going to get any less money for him. Because when somebody comes in for
him... It's irrelevant. Man United are not going to publicly state they don't want him because it does lower... What you do publicly lowers valuation. It's like when players hand in official transfer requests. It changes the valuation of players. It's just the way that market works.
Disagree. Harry Kane handed in a transfer request and they still wanted 130 for him. Did he leave? No.
They went
because the valuation didn't drop. Because Levy wouldn't let it drop.
But that was a unique situation because they agreed a price with Kane and with Man United, with Man City, and changed their mind. But that's a unique situation.
No, the price was 130. It stayed 130 even after the transfer.
It didn't. It was lower. The bid went in, and then they changed their mind.
Look at when Odemwingie turned up at the stadium on deadline day.
Yeah.
Did he get his move?
So again, what you're doing here, Lee, is you're looking at exceptions instead of the rule. Life doesn't exist in exceptions. You look at the rule. Managers will typically not slag off players, not play them down, not go out actively trying to lower the valuation of players, unless, by the way, there's a problem. So what your manager did with Aubameyang was a prime example of we need to get this guy out because he's become a problem. So we're going to publicly talk about the issues. We're going to take a hit in terms of not getting a fee. I think did you let him go for nothing? Yep. Or was there a fee? You let him go for nothing. If you were trying to sell him at a profit because it was less of an issue, I don't think your manager comes out and does what it is that he says. But the reason I was bringing this up wasn't to get too bogged down on that. It was around, I think, the issue with your logic. I understand it in set scenarios, but I think every single manager this summer in the Premier League will probably miss out on one, maybe two of their number one targets. The problem is with your logic is that means all 20 or 19 or 18 managers could all walk out of their jobs this summer. And that just isn't practical in reality.